Another tornado warning, this one for western Williamson County that includes, they're expecting the storm to be near Fairview. And we've also got a confirmed tornado over northern Lawrence County. So we're going to break down the situation. I'm meteorologist Charlie Neese. This is live coverage of what's going on here in Middle Tennessee. If you're joining us on YouTube, this goes beyond the scope of normally what's done on YouTube with a forecast, but I do stream severe weather coverage mainly from Middle Tennessee, especially in and around the Franklin, Fairview, Nashville areas. On the Facebook page, you're probably used to seeing me there covering Williamson County and Davidson County for tornado warnings. So we have 2 tornado warnings. I'm going to go a little bit in depth here into what's happening and what should happen over the next few hours as the system continues to move through. What we're seeing, first of all, is the tornado warning. This is for Dickson and Hickman counties in the western part of Williamson County. This storm is a radar-indicated tornado. This is the tornado warning as written by the National Weather Service. Tornado warning remains in effect until 6:30 for Dickson, Murray, Williamson, and northeastern Hickman counties. It's mainly affecting, the rotation will affect Hickman County, coming out of Hickman County into western Williamson County near Fairview. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado 9 miles south of Burns, 10 miles to the northeast of Centerville, moving northeast at 45 miles an hour, radar indicated rotation. So that is with this cell right here, and there's Fairview. So this is going to come up Highway 100 out of Bon Aqua into the Fairview area. Now, this cell is still pretty healthy. We've got quite a bit of lightning with it, indicating a healthy updraft. And I can hear the thunder from that storm as it's approaching western Williamson County. Taking a look at the velocity data. So the velocity data, fortunately, is not very strong right now. I'll put this into motion for you. It was stronger back west along Highway 100 between Centerville and Bon Aqua. As it's moving toward Fairview, and I know I have a lot of Fairview folks that watch on Facebook, it is weakening, which is good. And one of the reasons it's weakening is the same thing. If you were with me a little earlier, we have a boundary, a frontal boundary, a temperature gradient that runs pretty close to this right now. And so on the north side of that, we've got temperatures, rain-cooled temperatures in the 60s, and that boundary's been slowly sinking down to the south. Earlier, it was near 80 in Murfreesboro. Now it's down to 68. On the south side of that boundary, we've got temperatures that are still near 80 degrees and very, very juicy air. Dew points near 70 or in the low 70s here. And what's happening is the strongest storms are riding along this boundary. And it doesn't surprise me at all that we have this cell over Lawrence County that actually has a tornado on the ground with it, or at least there's a signature on radar that shows debris in the air with this. So, and the rotation with it's going over Summertown. This is northeast of Lawrenceburg in Lawrence County. This is, let me zoom in. I can take a look at the Lawrenceburg radar on it. Yeah, so that's our cell with our potential tornado or confirmed tornado in Lawrence County. It was just extended into Murray County. This will cross I-65 and come very close to Columbia and Mule Days. Of course, it's a big week, a big weekend for Columbia, for Mule Days. That cell is going to be passing very close to Columbia. And Columbia, I'm hoping that we see some weakening as it approaches Columbia, because we have seen some slightly cooler temperatures move into the Columbia area, where it's close to 80 in Lewisburg. Back closer to Columbia, it's closer to 70. I'm hoping that helps to weaken that storm, but the boundary is right there. And sometimes when these storms bank up against those boundaries, that can help them maintain their strength. So going to have to watch that very carefully. But this is a tornado warning for Lawrence County. And this is an observed tornado where the National Weather Service is saying they have observed tornado debris. It's also got very large hail in Summertown, on the north side of Summertown up to Rockdale, probably talking about at least quarter, approaching golf ball sized hail with it. Now back to the north. This cell, it's still healthy. We've got a lot of lightning with it, which is an indication of health. And you can see this little donut hole right here. That's an indication if that matches where the rotation was. So it's still rotating. It's got at least mid-level rotation. And the tornado warning continues here. It's right, that rotation is moving right over Highway 100 between Bon Aqua and Fairview. So make sure that nobody's traveling Highway 100 right now as that storm moves over. And the lightning core continues to be very healthy. I'm still hearing the thunder from it. It's nearly constant. And I'm way over here in this area. So, but the good news is I'm really hoping that this weakens the storm because we are well onto the north side of this boundary into the cooler air, into the 60s. Now, let's see. Yeah, it's continuing to cool down. So it's only around 59, 60. Yeah, it's 59 in Dixon right now. So that cool air continues to drift south. It's expected later tonight to move back to the north. So tomorrow in these areas, we'll be in the low 80s again for highs and a break from most of the storms it looks like right now. So I'm hoping that the cooler air weakens this storm. Down here on the southern storm, though, this is in the warmer air or right on that boundary. And I think this one is going to maintain its strength unless it can cross over the boundary into the cooler air by the time it gets to Columbia. But Columbia, you've got a lot of folks that are in town for Mule Day. I mean, the Mule Day's this weekend, but there are already activities going on for that. So just please be mindful of that. So I'm going to take a look at what's going on from the Weather Service. So the Weather Service is saying a train spotter has a wall cloud, no funnel or tornado at this time on the storm across Summertown. So that would be good. That would be an indication that if the storm did have a tornado on the ground earlier and was creating the observation of debris that the National Weather Service issued that warning for, hopefully that's weakened again. If it can cross that boundary, hopefully we'll see it weaken. But right now, it's still a very dangerous storm. And as long as it's got a wall cloud, at any time it could drop a tornado. So make sure that you are taking that storm seriously there. And it has moved into the southwestern corner of Murray County, and it's moving toward Columbia. So, and then the northern storm here, the question is, okay, so the good news is that the Weather Service is going to downgrade this storm. So Fairview, western part of Fairview is in that tornado warning right now, but the good news is it's going to be a strong storm. You're going to have heavy rain, and you're likely going to have some strong winds, but they're going to downgrade the warning to a severe thunderstorm warning. So you'll see this fill in just a second from Fairview eastward. So this warning will include likely southern Cheatham County. There it is. Southern Cheatham County, southwestern corner, including Bellevue of Davidson County, and then the northern part of Williamson County, mainly north of downtown Franklin. It does include the new McHatcher extension between Del Rio and Highway 96, and then points west. So that is good news. Again, this cell is deeply in the cool air, and that should keep it from strengthening too much, but it is still rotating. And that rotation is moving over right now is along Highway 100, near Highway 100 and 840. This is the third storm in 3 or 4 days that's moved exactly over this area along Highway 100 and 840 and Pinewood Road. We had the tree damage with the substation that caught on fire a couple of nights ago. We had a warning for a storm that went over this location early this morning in the pre-dawn hours, and now this rotation is moving along Highway 100 toward Fairview. But the tornado warning has been allowed to expire for Fairview. But do know that we could at least have some strong winds coming into Fairview. This is Highway 100 right here. Fairview. It's coming into Daugherty Estates. It'll come into Fairview Heights. It'll come into Glen Haven. It'll go over very close to the new, I still call it the new City Hall, but the City Hall. Crossing 840 right now, there is the circulation. But it has weakened enough that the Weather Service has changed it from a severe thunderstorm or from a tornado warning to a severe thunderstorm warning as it approaches Fairview. Down to the south, this is where the rotation continues across Summertown. This is starting to look a little more diffuse too, and I hope this is an indication that this cell is weakening too. Now, we have had some contamination from these on the velocity data from these storms because of hail. The hail is also weakening. So we saw this happen earlier with a storm that came through Williamson County an hour ago or so. It had a large hail core with it. And when you get a large hail core and you get a lot of lightning, indications of very strong updrafts. And the stronger the updraft, the healthier and potentially more severe the storm. When we start to see where that purple area is, that's large hail. And by the way, that large hail is moving on the north side of Enterprise near Enterprise Road and Arrow Lake Road, that intersection headed toward Terrapin Branch Road and Scotts Mill. But when we start to see the hail core start to shrink, that could be a sign that potentially it's starting to weaken. The Weather Service is still eyeing this storm, calling it the storm of the moment. It just doesn't look quite as organized as it did earlier. And again, the velocity data, when we were looking at it earlier, seemed to be a stronger couplet, not quite as strong now. You take a look at it from the Alabama radar. So I'm hoping what's happening is that storm is also crossing that boundary into some cooler air, and that's going to help kind of choke off the healthy updraft and weaken it down. Back to the north storm in Fairview, you are seeing your cell, severe thunderstorm warned, heavy rains. What's left over of that rotation is going along Highway 100. Again, good news is it looks like it's weakened. It's still a healthy storm, and it's still severe thunderstorm warned, so potential for 58-mile-an-hour winds or higher, and also large hail. So, taking a look here, just want to make sure that I'm not missing any. Let's see what. Let's see. So. Making sure that also all the streams are working. Yeah, it says it is. All right, checking to see, just making sure that not getting any reports of damage from that area from Fairview. But Fairview, so the core of this storm is coming into the heart of Fairview now. The rotation still there. It's right in here. It's coming up Highway 100. It's approaching the intersection of Cumberland Drive and Highway 100. Just not as strong as it was a little earlier, so that's why the Weather Service switched it from a tornado warning to a severe thunderstorm warning. Very heavy rain coming through the heart of Fairview right now, and I'll put this into motion for you. You can see it's going to be pretty quickly in and out. It's kind of a narrow band of heavy rain. And once that pushes through, that's going to move up into Bellevue. Bellevue, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. And then looking back to the west, I think we're going to see a break for a while. And then gradually, the warm air is going to start to overtake the rest of Middle Tennessee during the overnight. But as that happens, the focus of the heaviest rain and thunderstorms are going to shift back to the north. So there are some storms back over Savannah, but you can see Savannah is cooled now. We're going to have to watch this storm because it's going to ride along the boundary up into Middle Tennessee. And hopefully after that happens, we'll get a break in the storms as they're moving northeast. And then you can see a lot of rain back to the west, but I think that's going to shift into West Tennessee. So while I've got you, I'll take a look. Let's take a look at the new model data and just see how it's. So this is not actually the radar, but this is the model data. As we go through the rest of the night, you can see by 9 o'clock, it's trying to lift all of these storms up to the north. And many of you may, especially from Nashville south, may see temperatures rise a bit as we go through the overnight hours. And then tomorrow is going to feel like summer, feel like 80s, humid as well. And most of us get a break. So this is 11 o'clock tonight. You can see how the models are trying to focus the band of thunderstorms up to the north of us. And we start to get a nice break finally after nearly 24 hours of continuous rain. This is at 3 o'clock in the morning up in southern Kentucky, up to the north along the Ohio River Valley. That's where we're seeing the heaviest of the rains. May see a scattered shower or two in the early morning tomorrow, but really the great news is the chances of severe weather look to be really going down after about 9 or 10 o'clock tonight if the models are right. And as we head in through the daytime tomorrow, much of tomorrow, this is tomorrow right here, that's 11 a.m., we're dry. So that's good news. Now, what will happen after Friday is that the whole system starts to move back in Friday night into Saturday. And Saturday, we'll see thunderstorms again, more heavy rain, and we'll see the potential for the flash flooding to continue. And then on the backside of this, by Saturday night, it should all be out of here. Sunday is dry. Sunday is cooler. And we're going to see temperatures much cooler again, 50s and 60s for a couple of days behind this system. And could even see a frost or maybe even a late season freeze Monday night into Tuesday morning, somewhere in there. So, but here are the thunderstorms that we've got going on right now. Two main areas. This one over Williamson County moving into Bellevue. This is a tornado-warned storm down over Murray County, coming out of Lawrence County. Let's see here. So far, no damage reports. I'm still hearing thunder from the storm over Fairview in my location. So a lot of lightning with this in Fairview. And let's see what we're looking like on the rotation is just essentially falling apart. So I think the cold air has gotten to it. The cooler air has gotten to it. Pockets of gusty winds with this, perhaps exceeding severe levels. And can't rule out some at least small pea-sized hail up toward Brush Creek, up toward Camp Marymount, Rush Creek Road. Some of these darker reds could be including some at least small hail there. Lots and lots and lots and lots of reports of hail from the storms today. So Fairview, the heaviest. If you live from near the City Hall back to the west, back toward 840 on Highway 100, the worst is already past you with this cell. And then the next stop will be maybe some hail going into Bellevue. So it'd be nice for everybody to start to get a break. The tornado warned storm still has large hail with it. That large hail is moving toward Broadview along Haley Lane, Richardson Lane. Fortunately, the worst of the rotation should stay south of Columbia. There it is, right there. It's going to be crossing Pulaski Highway here in just just a couple of minutes. Let's see what the Weather Service is going to do with this. So they did have a brief touchdown was seen with this cell over Lawrence County, western Lawrence County, when it was back over in here. Now it's well to the northeast of there, still rotating, still has a healthy updraft because that hail core is holding together now. So it's maintaining its intensity. It's riding right along the boundary. South of Columbia, you're in the rain-cooled air. Down toward Linville, temperatures are in the upper 70s. So what's happening here is that warm air is feeding into that storm from the south as that boundary is kind of right through here. And so it's just going to ride that boundary, feeding off the warmer air coming in from the south. If it crosses and goes too deeply into the cool air, like this storm over Fairview has, then you see a gradual weakening trend. Now, this is probably what's called an elevated storm, though, now. Now it's rooted in the unstable air above the layer of cool air here at the surface. And when that happens, you can see more hail develop, and you can also see the lightning maintain itself. And we're seeing quite a bit of lightning here. Brush Creek, there's Highway 100. Some of the heaviest rain is going to ride Highway 100 back up into Pasco near the Loveless Cafe. It's pretty much the leading edge of it's coming over Harpeth Hills Memorial Gardens right now. And so it's going some of the heaviest of the rains and maybe some small hail along Poplar Creek and South Harpeth Road. And that's going to go right into Bellevue. So you are under a severe thunderstorm warning in Bellevue. The south side of this, moving from Kingfield back to the east of Fernvale, it's going to cross Highway 96 west of Franklin, and just some heavy rains, most of the lightning to the north of there. I'll take one more look at the velocity. Yeah, the rotation with it continues to kind of spread out like this. It's just not maintaining its rotation. So that was a good call by the Weather Service not to maintain the tornado warning. Hopefully it continues to weaken. This cell, again, riding right along that boundary. That warm air to the south is feeding into it. You can see it's ahead of it. It's 79 degrees on the north side of Lewisburg, while up in Columbia it's only in the 60s. So it's going to ride that boundary. And as of this moment, sometimes when they attach to those boundaries, they maintain their intensity. The hail is getting larger here. And so the large hail crossing Buck Matthews Road, moving toward Pulaski Highway, Bigbyville Road, Covey Hollow Road. That's some big hail. That's probably at least golf ball size hail. Let's see. Take shelter in Culleoka. They're talking about the storm trying to turn right, and that's an indication that it is going to stay rooted in the warm air rather than move up farther north into the cool air. So it's likely going to maintain itself. And so we're going to see the hail maintain and the rotation maintain itself in this area. So there's your rotation. Rotation's getting ready. It's crossing Pulaski Highway near Duggar Road and Scott Hollow Road up to just north of there. Canterbury Drive. That's where the rotation is in southern Murray County, south of Columbia. Columbia downtown, you're going to stay on the north side of all this in the cooler air. So that's good. Yeah, so the Weather Service is saying that this storm is likely going to stay on the warm side where it has access to the warm air to the south of the boundary. So look for that storm to keep going. Look for more tornado warnings. So the next layer of tornado warnings will be for northern Marshall County, southeastern corner of Williamson County, although I think the rotation is going to clearly stay south of Williamson County. It's going to go from Murray County into Marshall County, north of Lewisburg, and may affect the Chapel Hill area if it holds together. Meanwhile, the severe thunderstorm warning for the cell coming out of Fairview. In the heart of Fairview, you've got a break in the rainfall. Meanwhile, Bellevue, Maybe some small hail could affect you there along both Highway 70 and Highway 100. Getting some gusty winds on the south side of that cell. So continues to be a healthy storm. Winds 20 to 25 miles an hour is what I'm seeing right now. Just looking at, just making sure I'm not missing anything, any information coming in from the Weather Service. So Franklin, you are going to get more rainfall. The worst of the cell is going to stay up to the north. Let's see. Yeah, the rotation still weakly rotating as it moves through northern parts of Williamson County. Still lots of lightning with it. And then this is the cell that right now the Weather Service is watching. Now we have seen a decrease, a noted decrease in the hail size. So, and also a decrease in the lightning intensity. It's still active down here, still tornado warning, still have a couplet, but I'm hoping that this storm is weakening as it's moving toward Marshall County. Still a lot of juicy air down here for this thing to work with, so it could be cycling. It could, and sometimes we see that. Storms will weaken and then they'll re-intensify depending on the environment they're moving through in the life cycle of the storm. But maybe starting to see this weaken a little bit. To the north, Bellevue, you're getting a lot of lightning, heavy rain, can't rule out some pea-sized hail, but overall that cell continues to kind of, it's staying healthy, but we're starting to see it lose some intensity because temperatures in Nashville are only in the low 60s now. So I'm hoping that that continues to weaken. But we're going to continue to see some heavy rain as it pushes through Bellevue into Forest Hills and West Meade here over the next few minutes. Over 3 inches of rain here. So now that we're after dark, especially if you're driving in the Franklin area, Sumner County, Wilson County, lots of roads underwater. Williamson County around the Harpeth River, Del Rio Pike, Old Natchez, any of those areas, please be mindful that we could have water over the road and avoid those areas. So severe thunderstorm continues. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for Davidson County, northern Williamson County. This does not include downtown Franklin. This is areas north of Franklin, including Grassland. Again, severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning. Quite a bit of thunder and lightning going through this area. Heavy rains and maybe some small hail in the Bellevue area, moving toward Belmead, Westmead, Forest Hills, and it's going to just continue moving off on the south side of downtown, or the north part of this is going to move into the downtown area with at least some heavy rainfall and quite a bit of lightning and thunder, some gusty winds. So it had rotation earlier. The rotation is weakened. We make sure it's not ramping back up. Yeah, you're seeing some strong straight line winds moving. Right now it's moving, it's going to move across Hillsborough Road at Barry's Chapel. So this area, Legends Ridge, Farmington, Hillsborough Acres, Walnut Acres, Cottonwood, Battlewood Estates, Grassland, you're going to see some gusty winds right through this area as it crosses Hillsborough Road. Again, not rotational winds, left over of what was rotational winds, but some gusty straight line winds as it pushes, and that's going to move toward Brentwood. That part of the storm is going to move toward Brentwood with some strong straight line winds. On the south side, so as that band came across me, I only had 20 to 30 mile an hour winds, but it does look like it's trying to increase maybe just a little bit. So just expect that. Haven't had any major reports of any kind of trees down or power lines down or anything with that storm from the Weather Service, so that's good. It just does look like it's getting a little bit more organized and starting to bow out a little bit as it's moving, so it may start to strengthen a little bit. It's crossing at Barry's Chapel and Hillsborough Road right now. It's going to make its way over toward Franklin Road, which is right here, into Brentwood, and then Interstate 65 through Cool Springs on the north side of Cool Springs. So severe thunderstorm warning continues there. Quite a bit of lightning. And then back to the south, this is our tornado warned storm over Murray County. Again, Columbia, the cell, the worst of the rotation is passing south of you. And so you should be okay. You're just getting rain, a cool rain right now, while the rotation is to the south. Hail is trying to pick up a little bit again, so might be trying to cycle. Tice Road, Buck Daniels Road is going to cross Culleoka Highway at Buck Daniels. The potential for some hail there. And let's see. Once we get past this, we do have another cell back toward Clifton out in West Tennessee. Severe thunderstorm warning for Wayne County. So we may go through at least one or two more cells, and then hopefully that's when we start to see the break. I showed you a little bit ago the computer models, how they are forecasting that this is going to, we're going to be getting a break as we go through the later evening into the overnight hours here, which would be great. Again, just looking at some data. Yeah, there's some, I think some fake pictures being sent into the Weather Service. So the parameters for the most active weather as far as just the ingredients needed for severe weather now refocusing right along the Tennessee-Alabama state line. So we will probably start to see the severe thunderstorm warnings wane. We're going to have to watch this storm out of Waynesboro. That's probably going to ride that boundary as well. But like Fairview, you're probably going to see a substantial break now that that storm has passed by. Franklin, once the rains come to an end over the next 30, 45 minutes, you're going to see a break. Bellevue, you're going to see a break. Even though you've got very heavy rains coming through right now, Belmead, Westmead, Bellevue, moving into downtown, once that band moves through, you're going to see a pretty decent break in the storm activity, and we'll probably see it briefly focus down to the south in southern Middle Tennessee, and then after this last wave of cells that's back over Clifton right now in Waynesboro, once that pushes through, that's when we should start to see a break develop for the entire area as we go through the overnight hours tonight, which would be, again, really nice for everybody. All right. So with the cell, with the no tornado warnings now for Williamson or Davidson counties, and that cell continuing to move off toward the east, and really, except for some gusty winds that are going to be moving into Brentwood, there's your strong wind signature. Again, it's about to cross over Franklin Road at Brentwood, Hillview Estates, Smyrna Road Homes, Twin Springs Estates. So there's Franklin Road, there's Concord Road. That's where the strongest winds are showing up now with that severe thunderstorm warning continuing. Just be mindful, if you live in Brentwood, you could see a brief period of some pretty strong winds as that fans out. And you could see it strengthening, and it's bowing out, which is a sign of strengthening, moving right toward Brentwood. This is Franklin Road. This is Interstate 65, Concord Road. So it's going to go right through the heart of Brentwood there at Old Hickory Boulevard and Franklin Road and I-65. Not rotational winds, but strong straight line winds. And then we've got the rotation that continues down over Murray County. It doesn't look as organized as it did. The storm doesn't look as organized as it did. It's kind of lining out, it's losing its hook characteristics. So the Weather Service is noting that the rotation is fairly broad now here. They're going to put one more tornado warning likely for it for eastern parts of Murray County into northern Marshall County, but they're they're hoping that they can cancel that earlier, maybe not even issue it. And you can see the storms. There's storms down over Lawrenceburg, storm approaching Waynesboro. So here's your new tornado warning again: eastern Murray County, northern Marshall County, but the storm is in a weakening phase at the moment. You'll have to make sure that you pay attention to the weather. And then back up into the Nashville area. There's your strong winds about to go into Brentwood right here. You can actually see it in the reflectivity. It's this part of the storm right there. Going through Heathrow Hills. It's going to, right there at Murray Lane and Franklin Road. It's going to go over the high school, Brentwood High School. No damage has been reported with this or anything. It's just a strong band of winds in here under that severe thunderstorm warning. If that continues, if that trend continues, they may reissue the severe thunderstorm warning a little farther to the east. There's that signature with that cell. And the cell is maintaining pretty well. We've still got a healthy lightning core with it. Got another bend developing, but this is the part of the storm that'll move right into the heart of Brentwood. But no damage has been reported with this. Let's see. I'm going to switch radars and look at the southern storm. Now you can still see over Culleoka the rotation headed towards Scribner and Bryant Station, but again, just not as strong and as well defined as it was a little earlier. Yeah, Fairview's looking a lot better. We've got a little bit of rain coming in. Let's see. Kind of on the tail of this system that just came through. So you're going to see a little bit more rain coming in with this wave here. But once that gets through you, you're going to see a little bit of a break. And this stuff that's back to the west looks to be falling apart a little bit. I'm hoping this cell over Waynesboro falls apart. And maybe the worst is over for Middle Tennessee from this event that started during the early morning hours of last night. A lot of folks didn't get much sleep at all, starting from about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning on. So you should be able to get more sleep, much more sleep, as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Old Hickory, you're going to see the cell that's moving through Nashville. And you may see some pretty gusty winds from this part of the cell that's going through Brentwood now that has some strong winds with it. Let's see what the... Yeah, so this boundary is sinking farther south yet. And so that's going to put much of Middle Tennessee on the cool side. It's only 61 degrees here in the Franklin area after it was 80 earlier today. Very warm and very muggy. So we're just losing some of the instability, stabilizing. But in Old Hickory, you're going to see this cell continue to move off toward the north and east. Outside of the Brentwood area, I think Old Hickory, you might stay on the north side of the strongest of the winds as this cell comes in. But there is a severe thunderstorm warning. So they've reduced the severe thunderstorm warning to just basically account for those strong winds as they're getting ready to go into Brentwood. We'll see if they extend it east of there to include like the airport. They don't have any. They're saying that winds are up to 60 miles an hour potentially with this storm, but I think in the last couple of frames, hopefully we're seeing a little bit of a weakening trend. So if I put this into motion for you, you can see there were some brighter colors right there. I think it peaked. Now it looks like that part of the storm may be weakening, so they may not extend the severe thunderstorm warning for Davidson County, as hopefully we're seeing that that wind wane. You'll see some heavier rains and some lightning still, but probably the worst of that cell. That cell probably has peaked and is now weakening. So again, Fairview, you'll see some more showers, brief downpour as this lifts up into your area, and then you're going to get a break. Franklin getting a break. Back towards Santa Fe, where you've seen wave after wave, you're going to get a break. Centerville's getting a break after multiple waves of severe thunderstorms. And I do think that this cell down over Murray County moving into Marshall County is substantially weakening too. And that's good news. That's good news that everything seems to be in a weakening phase. After a quick buildup earlier with several tornado warnings, now everything seems to be kind of winding down. So I'm going to sign off again here, and hopefully won't have to come back on for you. But thanks again for watching on both Facebook and YouTube. And again, for those of you who watch on Facebook, if you want to see about every 3 days, 2 to 3 days, I do a weather forecast on YouTube called Hotspot Weather that just focuses in on hotspots for weather for the week. The hotspot across the entire nation has been our area for these last couple of days. And you can find that by going to Charlie Neese Weather, charlieneaseweather.com. It'll take you to my YouTube page, and you can subscribe there, and you'll get the notifications when I do those forecasts about every 2 to 3 days on hotspot weather. And then, and I'll continue to watch. And they let that severe thunderstorm warning, by the way, expire for Davidson County. So Old Hickory, you are not going to be seeing a severe thunderstorm warning. But just a strong storm moving through with some gusty winds. And then when I do severe weather coverage, it'll focus in mainly on the Nashville and Williamson County areas and areas back to the west, Hickman County, Dixon County, and anything that would be moving into those areas too. But I hope everybody has a great night. Get more rest tonight. Thanks again for visiting me and watching the live coverage, and appreciate you being there. Everybody stay safe, and I will see you next time.